Hi Krishna, everyone.
Hi Krishna.
So we're just beating the heat under the bridge downtown, over at King's Cross.
It's Camden Lock.
Well, it's not.
No, he doesn't ever agree, but I assure you it's Camden Lock.
It's not Camden Lock. This is King's Cross, where it says Pancake. Over here is Cold Drop Yards. And this is the canal that will lead you to Camden. But
It's a lock.
it's not even a lock. It's just a canal.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're harmonizing. Right, 3:11:22.
On the third canto, the chapter is entitled
Calculation of time from the atom.
Still talking about time. There's still time.
Alright,
8 pages left.
verse 22. Outside of the three planetary system, Sarva, Matya and Patala, the four yugas multiplied by 1,000 comprise one day on the planet of Brahma. So the four yugas multiplied by 1,000 is just one day of Brahma. That's a lot. A similar period comprises a night of Brahma in which the creator of the universe goes to sleep. Purport. When Brahma goes to sleep in his night time, the three planetary systems below Brahmaloka are all submerged in the water of devastation. In his sleeping condition, Brahma dreams about the Garbhodakshay Vishnu and takes instruction from the Lord for the rehabilitation of the devastated area of space.
That's while he's sleeping. Text 23. After the end of Brahma's night, the creation of the three worlds begins again in the daytime of Brahma, and they continue to exist through the life durations of 14 consecutive manus, or fathers of mankind. Yeah. So his day continues for 14 cycles of Manu, which is a lot. I can't remember the exact calculations. Purport. At the end of the life of each Manu, there are shorter dissolutions also. So, yeah, 14 times there will be shorter dissolutions in one day before there's a partial, a kind of fully partial dissolution, which is when Lord Brahma sleeps. And then at the end of Lord Brahma's life, there's a complete dissolution. A lot of things happening. So that might be kind of what happened at the end, with Noah's Ark and the whole thing where he had the devastation, the floods came, so that's kind of what happened. And also, even with the whole environmental thing that's going on now, we can obviously blame so many things, and of course, we as humans have a lot to answer for. But at the same time, things are going to dissolve anyway. It's not that it's going to last forever, because that's the nature of this material world. It's temporary.
Text 24. Each and every Manu enjoys a life of a little more than 71 sets of 4 millenniums.
Yeah, so that's down here.
Yeah, let's hear from Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Prabhupada. The duration of life of a Manu comprises 71 sets of 4 millenniums as described in the Vishnu Purana. The duration of life of one Manu is about 852,000 years in the calculation of the demigods, or in the calculation of human beings, 306,720,000 years.
That's one Manu. So there's 14 of them. It's crazy. Text 25. After the dissolution of each and every Manu, the next Manu comes in order, along with his descendants, who rule over the different planets. But the 7 famous sages and demigods like Indra and their followers, such as the Gandharvas, all appear simultaneously with Manu. Purport. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, and each of them has different descendants.
Text 26. In the creation, during Brahma's day, the 3 planetary systems, Swarga, Matya, and Patala, revolve, and the inhabitants, including the lower animals, human beings, demigods, and pitas, appear and disappear in terms of their fruitive activities. Text 27. In each and every change of Manu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears by manifesting his internal potency in different incarnations, as Manu and others. He maintains the universe by discovered power.
Thus, he maintains the universe by discovered power.
I'm not sure. Text 28. At the end of the day, under the insignificant portion of the mode of darkness, the powerful manifestation of the universe merges in the darkness of night. By the influence of eternal time, the innumerable living entities remain merged in that dissolution, and everything is silent. This verse is an explanation of the night of Brahma, which is the effect of the influence of time in touch with an insignificant portion of the mode's material nature in darkness. The dissolution of the 3 worlds is affected by the incarnation of darkness, Rudra, represented by the fire of eternal time, which blazes over the 3 worlds. These 3 worlds are known as Bhu, Bhuva, and Swa, Patala, Matya, and Swarga. The innumerable living entities merge into that dissolution, which appears to be the dropping of the curtain of the scene of the Supreme Lord's energy, and so everything becomes silent.
Thoughts?
It's nice, isn't it? The living entities merge into that dissolution, which appears to be the dropping of the curtain, like, so the final curtain, because it's all just Leela or pastime, it's all just, everything happens in time, everything's got a purpose, it's not just a big bang like the foolish scientists say, brainless scientists, it didn't just happen because something crashed into something or this or that, and it's this, so this is the end of scene 1 or act 1, and then it dormant, shuffle this, that, and then it comes up again, Yeah, and it's like in the West End you got all these plays, which I don't go, but some are going on for years. So it's like that. Krishna's like the original Andrew Lloyd Webber, and his show never sells out because people are dying to get in there.
His show never sells out?
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
His show never ends because people are trying to get in there.
The show is always sold out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm getting heat stroke.
Text 29. When the night of Brahma ensues, all the 3 worlds are out of sight, and the sun and the moon are without glare, just as in due course of an ordinary night. Okay. Purport. It is understood that the glare of the sun and moon disappear from the sphere of the 3 worlds, but the sun and moon themselves do not vanish. They appear in the remaining portion of the universe, which is beyond the sphere of the 3 worlds. The portion in dissolution remains without sun rays or moon glow. It all remains dark and full of water, and there are indefatigable winds, as explained in the following verses.
Verse 30, the devastation takes place due to the fire emanating from the mouth of Shankashan, and thus great sages like Brigu and other inhabitants of Mahaloka transport themselves to Janaloka, being distressed by the warmth of the blazing fire which rages through the three worlds below. Text 31. At the beginning of the devastation, all the seas overflow, and hurricane winds blow very violently. Thus the waves of the seas become ferocious, and in no time at all the three worlds are full of water. What a scene! Yeah?
Yeah, it sounds like a scene out of one of these modern devastation movies, you know, where
Yeah.
the sea just rises up and washes California into the ocean.
Purport. It is said that the blazing fire from the mouth of Shankashan rages for 100 years of the demigods. Wow. For 36,000 human years. Cheapers. Then for another 36,000 years, there are torrents of rain. Cheapers. Accompanied by violent winds and waves, and the seas and oceans overflow. These reactions of 72,000 years are the beginning of the partial devastation of the three worlds. People forget all these devastations of the worlds and think themselves happy in the material progress of civilization. This is called Maya, or that which is not.
It's amazing. I mean, we can't even fathom how long the devastation goes on for, you know, to speak of how long existence is there. I mean, just the 36,000 years, Sankashan is just lighting the place up with fire. And then starts the winds and the seas overflowing for another 36,000 years. That's just the beginning of the partial devastation. Text 32. The Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, lies down in the water on the seat of Ananta, with his eyes closed, and the inhabitants of the Janaloka planets offer unto the Lord their glorious prayers with folded hands. So, remember, all the inhabitants of Mahaloka, they go up to Janaloka, because there are certain planets that don't get annihilated in the partial devastation. We should not understand the sleeping condition of the Lord to be the same as our sleep. Here the word yoga nidra is specifically mentioned, which indicates that the Lord's sleeping condition is also a manifestation of his infernal potency. Whenever the word yoga is used, it should be understood to refer to that which is transcendental. In the transcendental stage of all activities, all activities are always present, and they are glorified by prayers of great sages like Brigu.
Text 33. Thus, the process of the exhaustion of the duration of life exists for every one of the living beings, including Lord Brahma. One's life endures for only 100 years in terms of the times in the different planets. Purport. Every living being lives for 100 years in terms of the times in different planets for different entities. These 100 years of life are not equal in every case. The longest duration of 100 years belongs to Brahma. But although the life of Brahma is very long, it expires in the course of time. Brahma is also afraid of his death, and thus he performs devotional service to the Lord, just to release himself from the clutches of illusory energy. Animals, of course, have no sense of responsibility. But even humans who have developed a sense of responsibility while away the valuable time without engaging in devotional service to the Lord, they live merrily, unafraid of impending death. This is the madness of human society. The madman has no responsibility in life. Similarly, a human being who does not develop a sense of responsibility before he dies is no better than the madman who tries to enjoy material life very happily without concern for the future. It is necessary that every human being be responsible in preparing himself for the next life, even if he has a duration of life like that of Brahma, the greatest of all living creatures within the universe. Important. It is necessary that every human being prepare himself, be responsible, preparing himself for the next life. So this is just some kids messing with the geese because they're not very responsible.
Yeah, so we all have to prepare ourselves for the next life.
Yes.
Even if we're Lord Brahma. So and that's why Lord Brahma offers devotional service. Text 34. The 100 years of Brahma's life are divided into two parts, the first half and the second half. The first half of the duration of Brahma's life is already over. That's talking about right now for us. And the second half is now current. Purport. The duration of 100 years in the life of Brahma has already been discussed in many places in this work. And it is described in Bhagavad Gita 8:17 also. 50 years of the life of Brahma are already over, and 50 years are yet to be completed. Then, for Brahma also, death is inevitable.
Inevitable. Text 35. In the beginning of the first half of Brahma's life, there was a millennium called Brahma Kalpa, wherein Lord Brahma appeared. The birth of the Vedas was simultaneous with Brahma's birth. Purport. According to Padma Purana, Prabhas Kanda, in 30 days of Brahma, many kalpas take place, such as the Varaha Kalpa and Pitra Kalpa. 30 days make 1 month for Brahma, beginning from the full moon to the disappearance of the moon. 12 such months complete 1 year, and 50 years complete one paradia. One parada.
Remember that was an amount of time previously.
Or 1/2 the duration of the life of Brahma. The Shweta Varaha appearance of the Lord is the first birthday of Brahma. The birthday of Brahma is in the month of March. According to Hindu astrological calculation, this statement is reproduced from the explanation of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Prabhupada just giving that he got that from that source, bona fide, source, recognized source.
The cyclic succession, the line of the cyclic.
Right.
Text 36. The millennium which followed the first Brahma millennium is known as the Padma Kalpa, because in that millennium the universal lotus flower grew out of the navel reservoir of water of the personality of Bhava Bhakti. Purport. The millennium following the Brahma Kalpa is known as the Padma Kalpa because the universal lotus grows in that millennium. The Padma Kalpa is also called the Pitri Kalpa in certain Puranas.
Text 37. Oh, you son of Bharat. Oh my God. We're going to be attacked by geese. Yeah, anyway, I might leave. A descendant of Bharat. The first millennium in the second half of the life of Brahma is also known as the Varaha millennium, because the personality of Godhead appeared in that millennium as the hog incarnation. The different millenniums known as the Brahma, Padma and Varaha Kalpas appear a little puzzling for the layman. There are some scholars who think these kalpas be one and the same. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Brahma Kalpa in the beginning of the first half appears to be the Padma Kalpa. We can, however, simply abide by the text and understand that the present millennium is in the second half of the duration of the life of Brahma.
What do you think? Conclude now or try to finish?
Let's conclude now. What we may do is move away from these killer geese and finish off, because there's not that many verses, but I'm aware you know, if it gets too long, it's not bite-sized enough. There's enough meat left for these last 4 or 5 verses that we're going to move to another location and see you there.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Jai.